Yom Kippur Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur Day of Atonement. Atonement, Torah Vayikra, Leviticus, 16:1-34, Bamidbar, Numbers, 29:7-11, Haftarah Yesha Isaiah 57:14-58-14, Berit Hadashah Messianic Jews, Hebrews, 9:1-15, Torah Vayikra, Leviticus, 16:1-34. Adonai spoke with Moshe after the death of Aaron's two sons, when they tried to sacrifice before Adonai and died. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell your brother Aaron not to come at just any time into the holy place beyond the curtain, in front of the ark cover which is on the ark, so that he will not die, because I appear in the cloud over the ark cover." Here is how Aaron is to enter the holy place with a young bull as a sin offering and a ram as a burnt offering. He is to put on the holy linen tunic, have the linen shorts next to his bare flesh, have the linen sash wrapped around him, and be wearing the linen turban. They are the holy garments. He is to bathe his body in water and put them on. He is to take from the community of the people of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron is to present the bull for the sin offering which is for himself and make atonement for himself and his household. He is to take the 2 goats and place them before Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron is to cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Adonai and the other for Azazel. Aaron is to present the goat whose lot fell to Adonai and offer it as a sin offering. But the goat whose lot fell to Azazel is to be presented alive to Adonai to be used for making atonement over it by sending it away into the desert for Azazel. Aaron is to present the bull of the sin offering for himself. He will make atonement for himself and his household. He is to slaughter the bull of the sin offering which is for himself. He is to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before Adonai and, with his hands full of ground, fragrant incense, bring it inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before Adonai, so that the cloud from the incense will cover the ark cover which is over the testimony, in order that he not die. He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger on the ark cover toward the east, and in front of the ark cover he is to sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. Next, he is to slaughter the goat of the sin offering which is for the people, bring its blood inside the curtain and do with its blood as he did with the bull's blood, sprinkling it on the ark cover and in front of the ark cover. He will make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleannesses of the people of Israel and because of their transgressions all their sins. And he is to do the same for the tent of meeting which is there with them right in the middle of their uncleannesses. No one is to be present in the tent of meeting from the time he enters the holy place to make atonement until the time he comes out, having made atonement for himself, for his household and for the entire community of Israel. Then he is to go out to the altar that is before Adonai and make atonement for it. He is to take some of the bull's blood and some of the goat's blood and put it on all the horns of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, thus purifying it and setting it apart from the uncleannesses of the people of Israel. When he has finished atoning for the holy place, the tent of meeting and the altar, he is to present the live goat. Aaron is to lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the transgressions, crimes and sins of the people of Israel. He is to put them on the head of the goat and then send it away into the desert with a man appointed for the purpose. The goat will bear all their transgressions away to some isolated place, and he is to let the goat go in the desert. Aaron is to go back into the tent of meeting, where he is to remove the linen garments he put on when he entered the holy place, and he is to leave them there. Then he is to bathe his body in water in a holy place, put on his other clothes, come out and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, thus making atonement for himself and for the people. He is to make the fat of the sin offering go up in smoke on the altar. The man who let go the goat for Azazel is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Afterwards, he may return to the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, is to be carried outside the camp. There they are to burn up completely their hides, meat and dung. The person burning them is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Afterwards, he may return to the camp. It is to be a permanent regulation for you that on the 10th day of the 7th month you are to deny yourselves and not do any kind of work, both the citizen and the foreigner living with you. For on this day, atonement will be made for you to purify you. You will be clean before Adonai from all your sins. It is a Shabbat of complete rest for you, and you are to deny yourselves. This is a permanent regulation. The Kohen anointed and consecrated to be Kohen in his father's place will make the atonement. He will put on the linen garments, the holy garments. He will make atonement for the especially holy place. He will make atonement for the tent of meeting and the altar, and he will make atonement for the Kohanim and for all the people of the community. This is a permanent regulation for you. to make atonement for the people of Israel because of all their sins once a year. Moshe did as Adonai had ordered him. Torah B'midbar, Numbers, 29:7-11. On the 10th day of this 7th month you are to have a holy convocation. You are to deny yourselves, and you are not to do any kind of work. But you are to present a burnt offering to Adonai to make a fragrant aroma, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs in their first year. They are to be without defect for you. With their grain offering, fine flour mixed with olive oil, 6 quarts for the bull, 4 quarts for the 1 ram, and 2 quarts for each of the 7 lambs, also 1 male goat as a sin offering. In addition to the sin offering for atonement and the regular burnt offering with its grain offering, and their drink offerings, Haftarah Yesha Isaiah 57:14-58-14. Then he will say, keep building, clear the way, remove everything blocking my people's path. For thus says the High, Exalted One who lives forever, whose name is holy. I live in the high and holy place, but also with the broken and humble, in order to revive the spirit of the humble and revive the hearts of the broken ones, for I will not fight them forever or always nurse my anger. Otherwise their spirits would faint before me, the creatures I myself have made. It was because of their flagrant greed that I was angry and struck them. I hid myself and was angry, but they continued on their own rebellious way. I have seen their ways, and I will heal them. I will lead them and give comfort to them, and to those who mourn for them I will create the right word. Shalom, shalom to those far off and to those nearby, says Adonai. I will heal them. But the wicked are like the restless sea, unable to be still. Its waters toss up mud and dirt. There is no shalom, says my God, for the wicked. 58:1. Shout out loud, don't hold back. Raise your voice like a shofar. Proclaim to my people what rebels they are, to the house of Yaakov their sins. Oh yes, they seek me day after day and claim to delight in knowing my ways. As if they were an upright nation that had not abandoned the rulings of their God, they ask me for just rulings and claim to take pleasure in closeness to God, asking, why should we fast? If you don't see, why mortify ourselves? If you don't notice, here is my answer. When you fast, you go about doing whatever you like, while keeping your laborers hard at work. Your fasts led to quarreling and fighting, to lashing out with violent blows. On a day like today, fasting like yours will not make your voice heard on high. Is this the sort of fast I want? A day when a person mortifies himself? Is the object to hang your head like a reed and spread sackcloth and ashes under yourself? Is this what you call a fast? A day that pleases Adonai? Here is the sort of fast I want: releasing those unjustly bound, untying the thongs of the yoke, letting the oppressed go free, breaking every yoke, sharing your food with the hungry, taking the homeless poor into your house, clothing the naked when you see them, fulfilling your duty to your kinsmen. Then your light will burst forth like the morning, your new skin will quickly grow over your wound, your righteousness will precede you, and Adonai's glory will follow you. Then you will call, and Adonai will answer. You will cry, and he will say, here I am. If you will remove the yoke from among you, stop false accusation and slander, generously offer food to the hungry and meet the needs of the person in trouble, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your gloom become like noon. Adonai will always guide you. He will satisfy your needs in the desert. He will renew the strength in your limbs, so that you will be like a watered garden, like a spring whose water never fails. You will rebuild the ancient ruins, raise foundations from ages past, and be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets to live in. If you hold back your foot on Shabbat from pursuing your own interests on my holy day, if you call Shabbat a delight, at a nice holy day, worth honoring, then honor it by not doing your usual things or pursuing your interests or speaking about them. If you do, you will find delight in Adonai. I will make you ride on the heights of the land and feed you with the heritage of your ancestor Yaakov, for the mouth of Adonai has spoken. Pirit Hadashah. Messianic Jews, Hebrews, 9:1-15. Now the first covenant had both regulations for worship and a holy place here on earth. A tent was set up, the outer one, which was called the holy place. In it were the menorah, the table and the bread of the presence. Behind the second piroket was a tent called the holiest place, which had the golden altar for burning incense and the ark of the covenant, entirely covered with gold. In the ark were the gold jar containing the man, Aharon's rod that sprouted, and the stone tablets of the covenant. And above it were the cherubim representing the Shekinah, casting their shadow on the lid of the ark. But now is not the time to discuss these things in detail. With things so arranged, the Kohanim go into the outer tent all the time to discharge their duties, but only the Kohen Hagadol enters the inner one. And he goes in only once a year, and he must always bring blood, which he offers both for himself and for the sins committed in ignorance by the people. By this arrangement, the Ruach HaKodesh showed that so long as the first tent stood standing, the way into the holiest place was still closed. This symbolizes the present age and indicates that the conscience of the person performing the service cannot be brought to the goal by the gifts and sacrifices he offers, for they involve only food and drink and various ceremonial washings regulations concerning the outward life, imposed until the time for God to reshape the whole structure. But when the Messiah appeared as Kohen Gadol of the good things that are happening already, then, through the greater and more perfect tent which is not man-made, that is, it is not of this created world, he entered the holiest place once and for all. And he entered not by means of the blood of goats and calves, but by means of his own blood, thus setting people free forever. For if sprinkling ceremonially unclean persons with the blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of a heifer restores their outward purity, then how much more the blood of the Messiah, who, through the eternal Spirit, offered himself to God as a sacrifice without blemish, will purify our conscience from works that led to death, so that we can serve the living God. It is because of this death that he is mediator of a new covenant, or will, because a death has occurred which sets people free from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. Those who have been called may receive a promised eternal inheritance.